What's up, guys? Welcome back. It is Monday, and you guys had a spooky weekend. The clickbait title from Friday may have played out. The weekend bringing us some curveballs. The words black swan even being thrown around casually. We were looking for some spice, but I do not think that I was looking quite for this level of dump on the corn. But I have some good news. Now, I'm not here to tell you what's going to happen next or try to convince you one way or the other, but I do have some charts that we're going to look at that I think are going to maybe better help explain the narrative or even my bullish stance, as always, baby. So I appreciate you joining us, my friends. Hype it up. This price action may have spooked some people, but it was the first actual price action we've had that was meaningful, and I want to say over 2 months. We have seen a lot of sideways, a lot of weakness in alts. We do have even Ethereum that we're going to pull up here. Something happened that we've been talking about for quite some time. The weakness in alts, but this is the first real move. We see things actually breaking market structure. Now, before we even jump into the charts, I will say take a deep breath, relax. Hopefully you didn't panic, make a decision. Anyone say panic, sell it. Panic, make a decision. Remember, anytime you're feeling emotional, you're feeling euphoric or fearful or anything, that's usually the worst time to make a decision, the worst time to trade. Your brain is turned off. It's in fight or flight mode. It's not in thinking mode. So I know it doesn't help you over the weekend, but hopefully it'll help you in the future. So let's just jump into this. Let's get it. So I have a very fancy, in my opinion, awesome looking chart right here behind me. This is Bitcoin's price overlapped with Bitcoin dominance. Now, there's some beauty here. I will say I think we're in a little bit of uncharted territory, but this is going to argue that the top is not in, and I'll tell you why. So let's take a look. This is the full history of Bitcoin dominance, the colorful red and green candles, and the purple line behind it, that'd be the Bitcoin price. In the last cycle, we saw some interesting things. Now, we don't have a lot of history on dominance. Most of dominance's history, you can't even see it, it's all the way up here, is really not relevant. Bitcoin was the only coin around. It was the entire market. That really didn't come into play until early 2017. You can see that Bitcoin dominance was all the way at 97% of the market, meaning alts or alt season at that point wasn't even a thing. They only represented 3% of the entire market. Bitcoin gave up a lot of that ground. We saw, I want to say, maybe the most explosive alt season that we might ever see. I don't have my crystal ball out. We don't know the future, but it may never be matched again because we don't have the fall from 98%, right? We don't have that much ground to give up in the same way. Continuing on that fall, after the high, after the cycle peak was in, Bitcoin had hit 20K. We saw Bitcoin dominance hit a lower low. We saw it hit the lowest it had ever been. This actually happened after the high was in on Bitcoin, even like a few weeks later. This happened in 2018. From there, the bull market was over and we saw dominance rally. This makes sense. Some of the overheated or too risk on players in the field decided, okay, this isn't right. Money's not flowing. We need to get into the safer asset, or even we just need to get out of alts. And at that time, basically Bitcoin was the way to go. Tether wasn't big yet. We saw Bitcoin dominance rally throughout the bear market. And here's where it gets interesting. Here's where it gets very interesting. The bull market was signaled by the fall of dominance. We had another altcoin season. Something really special happened here, though. Something very interesting that I never would have guessed. This isn't talked about enough in the crypto space. This is significant, and it likely explains a lot of what we see going on now. Dominance fell, but it did not go lower than the cycle before, which is really interesting because this is Bitcoin dominance. This includes stable coins. It includes all the new coins, all of these micro cap things that are kind of maybe have fake market caps, but are still contributing to this metric. It never broke its low. It held its low. This would have really shocked and surprised most people, I would say, before 2021. I think most people were looking for a lower low because logically the Bitcoin dominance chart has to trend down over time. Like we said in the beginning, it was 100%. It fell as new coins came out. And in 2017, it took its first altcoin season run. So it would be logical to think that this chart will pretty much forever be bearish, right? It can't ever return to 100%, no matter what happens. It's something that I wish wasn't true, but no matter what happens, it can't go to 100. It can go to 99.9, effectively 100, but it can't go to 100 because other things exist, right? So it can't compromise all of it. But that's not what we're seeing. And so this suggests maybe we don't have pieces of the puzzle, or maybe we're looking at it the wrong way, or maybe everyone was wrong again. There's still time for this to fit neatly into the last cycles, and I'll still tell you more about that. But at the moment, it's looking kind of different. So I said that this suggests that the top is not in. We don't have many cycles to compare, but on the last two, we have seen Bitcoin dominance reach, we'll call it range lows, we'll call it cycle lows, really just meaningful drops, right? Meaningful drops that really were a characteristic of hot risk-on markets. We did not get that. In fact, we are up here on Bitcoin at 100-ish K, and Bitcoin dominance hit a new high last night on the fall. This has never happened. We have never seen a cycle high with a Bitcoin dominance cycle high. This is really interesting. We have been talking on this channel for months, maybe even over a year, about a move like this, something that people didn't think were possible. Certainly didn't think it was possible. People didn't even think dominance was going back to 60% until I'd say the last 6 months. We were looking for a higher high. You can see this analysis from years and years here. We're looking for a higher high, or at least maybe a retest of December 2020 back in this range of 74-ish, 75. The reason I think that this makes more sense now is we have held the higher low. We didn't get a lower low last cycle, and we haven't gotten the signal of Bitcoin being topped out while dominance is low. I think we are still very much in this bull market, very much in this uptrend. And I think our analysis was spot on. I think we're coming up into this range. Now, that could be brutal for alts, and it likely will be. We saw some very serious sell-offs. A lot of charts, though, just really back to major supports and have bounced. So don't freak out too much. If you're asking me to look at a million alts in the chat right now, don't freak out too much. It really does look like a lot of solid back tests of previous resistances as support. Do I have any other points in this? I think I got a few other things here. This is new territory. It would suggest that the top is not in, and this is a chart we're going to keep following, right? With our higher low off of 2017, we may see a higher high, right? This chart may be not quite as bearish as we would expect it to be. In fact, maybe it overran in its first cycle, 2017, and maybe we're going to see that corrective process kind of come back down. And over time, Bitcoin never returned to 100, but maybe reach back into the deeper 60s, 70s, 80s%, maybe even 90%. We'll see over time. Let's move on. So I have other fancy charts to show you that may make you feel better. This one, the most compelling. By the way, guys, I did my homework today, as you can tell, so I'm not reading the chat quite yet. I will catch up with you. If you could do me a favor, make sure you've smashed the like button, you've subscribed, you've hyped up the stream. I don't know why it's so quiet today. This is the spiciest day of price action that we have had. And I don't know where the spice is. It's mayo. What's going on? Anyway. Okay, let's zoom out here. So total crypto market cap, we love this as a leading indicator, or maybe a kind of a truth teller, a lie detector test for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's chart tends to be manipulated. It doesn't behave very politely, I'll say. I don't know how else to put it. Total, more well-behaved, more polite, has manners. When it hits support, it tends to respect it or not respect it. Whereas Bitcoin, anytime it hits support or resistance, does a little dance, kind of convinces you it's going to do the other thing before moving. Total much better behaved. So over the last few weeks, we have noted that Total did finally hit an all-time high in December. Despite Bitcoin hitting an all-time high in March, this took a long time for the rest of the market to heat up and actually just return back to the levels of 2021, which is kind of wild, right? Kind of wild. We noted, though, on the sell-offs, back testing that previous all-time high would be a very clean, very strong way to make that next move, that next leg up on Total. we are predicting, or well, we're not predicting. Using our fib tool, we are reaching or assigning upward targets to this bull market somewhere in the range of, say, like 7 trillion. We say 6 trillion, 7 trillion. And this is, in my opinion, a low number. I think we do see higher. We really just use our highs and lows in our fib tool, and we can kind of just peek at some of these numbers here. I think 7 is a really great target for this run. I do believe it'll go higher, but it is going to serve as a reminder. If you haven't taken any profits on the way up throughout the entire run, because I don't believe it's over. I don't think we have all of this year. When total hits 7 trillion, take a look at your bags. Make a plan, take some profit. This can be a really great reminder. But anyway, I digress. This chart giving us some bullish signs here. We had not officially come back to that 3 trillion target. You can see even in January, we had our sell-off again, and things got very close. And I remember we pulled this up on live stream, and I said, man, that's really close. And if this was Bitcoin, I probably would count it as tested. But with total, it's not quite there. So that could suggest we have another low ahead. Total did not hit a higher high, unlike Bitcoin in January. Total has a lower high here, which is actually very threatening, and goes along really well with this sell-off. Bitcoin, like I said, the behavior thing, Bitcoin hit an all-time high and came back down in some very manipulative, very crappy for trading price action, we'll call it. But on our sell-off, we have broken, or we have tested that previous resistance from 2021 as support. And so far, knock on wood, in this moment, it has held. You can even see down on low time frames, this trading below, pop, and we actually, on low time frames, tested it here before moving higher. Total crypto market cap has finally performed this super important back test of resistance. As long as we don't see candle closes below 3 trillion, I think total is in great condition, and I think it is saying there is more up to come this year. More up to come. I mean, really, look at the history of this chart. Look how clean it is, and tell me that like a back test of that isn't just perfect. Isn't perfect. Bump, run, make the leg up. Like, that's hard to argue against, in my opinion. We got more, baby. We'll do Ethereum last. That'll work out. Originally, I had it next. We'll do Bitcoin. We did total. Let's go to the corn. January 22nd, we identified the big diamond. Here is another reason, another chart that has me pretty calm right now. This sell-off on Bitcoin, not on alts, not on total, has held its low. And what pattern does this really fit into? What have we not invalidated? Remember how many people said, that's not a diamond, Tom. You're just fitting us. All right, whatever you say. Seems as if the corn disagrees. This higher low fitting perfectly into this diamond pattern. We are seeing a pretty strong bounce here. This level also confluence elsewhere, but just wanted to kind of flex on here. Just a little recap of previous TA from January. Diamond fits. Had the low broken, we would look at it differently, but so far, I think that we are going to see this rally continue up. At least look for a higher low or a lower high at 104. Maybe we can see it come back down. It depends how long it'll stick in here. But so far, so good. I didn't have a lot of points on that. I just wanted to look at it. Played out. Here is the one that's really keeping me good. This is 2 days of trading, this monthly candle. January closed above 100,000 for the first time ever. The most historic, highest monthly close. So bullish with its bullish engulfing. This pattern, guys, in Bitcoin never plays out the way you'd expect it. It's a 3 candle long setup. Every single time on the stream that I have pointed this out, yeah, I swear, it never just continues. In traditional TA, you would be like, that's a lot of strength. You would expect it to just like kind of continue moving up. Not on the corn. Anyway, here we are, the monthly. In the 2 days of February, we have traded lower than I like, obviously, 91,000. But what we have done is something very important. We have come back to this open fair value gap from the monthly. We had a candle, we had no wicks filling it. And while there's never something that makes it have to happen, This is very common price action to shake out positions on a strong close. Like I said, this pattern virtually never plays out the way we'd expect it to without some kind of move like this. This wick here, buyers have come in and it is looking so strong. When I saw this kind of chill out and slow down here, I felt much better about the sell-off. The weekly, still good above about 94. So far, so good. Not a lot of thoughts on the weekly for you. But going down to the day, my friends, this candle already back to green. Bears getting absolutely absorbed. Sellers getting absolutely absorbed by buyers. I cannot even like describe how much strength I see from this candle based on the price action we've seen and based on the sentiment shift. Everyone and their mom was talking about tariffs, black swan, markets crash, and Bitcoin, as usual, front running, putting in the move, getting everyone kind of amped up for this moment. The same way, we'll say like inauguration, right? Everybody stoked on inauguration. We saw a rally and then just, reversed, took all of our money. Same thing to the other side, going against sentiment here. This is looking delicious. I think that this is a great candle close. Again, we see low time frames coming in, respecting these levels. This very well could be the low of February. February, getting it out of the way early. Back to the highs, 102,000. What was 102 on the month? 102,000 on the month. Yep. Resistance. We are likely to see some kind of rejection here when we return to this price. I fully believe we will this month. 102.4. 2.4. One more thing of note here. This sell-off did more than just kind of fill this monthly or make this monthly candle whole, we'll say. On the yearly time frame, after an all-time high again, after the strongest close ever on the month, above 100,000, this sell-off briefly made our entire yearly candle turn red. This wick down here, you'll see, not even, I don't even think it's not even the lowest wick, right? Yeah, of course not, because from December, we had lower. But this wick down here, gobbled up. People opened the charts. They were panicking. They're thinking about tariffs, thinking about black swans. The candle was red. People were saying the run was over. And what happened? They got sidelined again. That is the story of this entire climb. We have seen moves, whatever we need to shake them out, and then continuation. People getting sidelined over and over and over and over again. While this market has really well managed, I'll say managed euphoria, managed hype. I mean, what? We have 600 people here today? What the heck? How do we only have 600 people here today? This is the spiciest move we've had in a month, in 2 months. And there's almost no one paying attention. This is very exciting. All right, that was the corn. The corn here. So it's time to do a I told you so, guys. You guys have asked me about Ethereum virtually every single day we have streamed for months. Absolutely for months. On the last live stream, literally on Friday? On Friday, people were super chatting asking, Tom, do you think Ethereum is going to reverse? And I said, guys, I don't want to be bearish because I'm so bullish on crypto. I'm so bullish on Bitcoin all the time. But let's say I'm just not bullish on Ethereum. I had a short open from 4,000 that I held open. And I said, we could see maybe some strength into the weekly close. We did not get that. If we had Ethereum's valuation versus Bitcoin close above 0.33, did not happen. And the entire time I have been arguing this, I've said virtually the same things. We are looking at these big time frame supports. We have broken 0.33. It's dead to us for now. What do? We look lower. 0.25. This sell-off almost perfectly overshot it, but almost perfectly tapped it and went right back up. This was another really strong signal for me that the low of yesterday was a significant low that was likely to hold price or likely to bounce the charts, likely to basically stop the bleeding, at least for now. Ethereum has hit 0.25 so fast. Look at this lightning move, man. Wild. People back here on Friday thinking Ethereum's reversing. And in what, one candle almost? One candle, Ethereum lost 10% of its value against Bitcoin. Not even talking about its USD value. In 2 hourly candles, it lost 20%. It obviously has recovered. Look at the reaction. I tell you guys all the time, the best trades, the best entries take patience. They're at levels that you don't think are going to hit. A lot of people didn't see 0.25 coming. They're saying, nah, Ethereum's strong. It's going to bounce. Look down to these levels, wait patiently, and let the market come to you. Clearly, there were buyers who did exactly that, because this wick showing us that price absolutely absorbed, man. 20% fall, price gets pushed right back above. Now, is the bottom in for Ethereum? That's what everyone's going to ask against Bitcoin. I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I can say this right now. The reaction that we have seen to this support is significant, and it is bullish. And if Ethereum holds this low, I just want to see where the fib is. It's looking awesome. It's looking great. The next step on this train will be back to 0.33. Retake that, and we're talking, right? But we don't know. Like I said in the beginning of the show, I don't know the future. I'm not trying to convince you one way or the other. I'm simply presenting these charts for you to get whatever value out of them you can. I like the reaction. I don't know what happens next. If it trades below 0.25 again, what do? We do the same thing we did at 0.33. It might not happen overnight. It might take months and months and months like this did. But we look down again and we say, what's the next major support? 0.18. All the way down here. At this point, at the very lowest point of Ethereum sell-off yesterday, we saw Ethereum bags, man, from December 2020. 4 years round-tripped in Bitcoin value. Bonkers. There's likely a lot of hands flushed out there. Likely a lot of leverage removed. Dang, that's what I forgot. I was going to talk about the leverage stuff and the spookiness at the beginning. It's okay. We can do that next. And I will maybe give you this little piece of hopium for you. I have been very, very bearish for me on Ethereum. My bearishness on Ethereum is starting to alleviate. Has begun to stop. It did not show any signs of stopping at all over the last few months until right now. I have made a move. I have closed my Ethereum short at 2,500. Let's go. 2,500 from 4K. Let's get a trade history, right? Boom. Boom, boom, boom. There it is. I have closed at 2,500 for a ridiculous 800,000% gain. I don't know. I don't even know, man. Bonkers. About 4 grand realized profit. And I have done something ballsy. You guys don't see me make moves like this often, so maybe it means something. I have reversed the position essentially. I didn't, and you'll notice I didn't reverse it on Ethereum though. I'm still, until proven otherwise, very strongly believe that a short Ethereum, long Bitcoin using USDT and coin margin contracts is going to be a very high alpha play, a very strong approach to kind of hedging and playing both sides of this market. I've closed that long, or closed the short on Ethereum, big profit, opened long on Bitcoin, and I mean, here we are again, up 55%. I don't know, man. Those of you just tuning in, maybe watching this for the first time, guys, I'm not a future teller. I don't win all the trades, but on this channel, we've been live for 6 years. There's been a little bit of maybe a saying is when I start hitting, when my trades start hitting, when I start getting kind of on fire, it almost always lines up with the market getting bullish again or starting an uptrend again. That's up to you. You tell me. I'm viewing it from the inside out. Is that what's happening here? Maybe. We had a long, potentially on Ethereum at 2,500 with that wick. I'm glad I didn't take it. That would have, there's no way I didn't get stopped out. That overshot the crap out of it. Ethereum is likely moving back at least to 3,000. It didn't break its low from August of 24, but realistically, this looks pretty shitty, right? Bigger time frames. If you look at these trends, our lows still largely respected for Ethereum on this chart. We have, we call it a flag. It's almost a flat top. Ascending low trend right here being respected. The close of this week, and I'll say probably even this day, very important for Ethereum. I think Ethereum closing above about 2,500 versus below is going to have big implications on the chart going forward. Absolutely. Absolutes. Nice. Nice. Where are we at? Where is this at here? Let's go back here quick. Price to beat today. Let's get that bullish engulf above 100.6K. Currently at 99.2. That is in sight. That is not very far at all, actually. People looking for, I don't know if this is going to be a narrative or a rationale or whatever for the sell-off yesterday. And even though it's not, I have some advice I want to like share, or tips or kind of perspective for you. You're hearing a lot about liquidations. Yesterday they were saying there's $2 billion of long liquidations across the markets, and that was like this huge number. And then today, I believe it's the new CEO of Binance, or was it the CEO of Bybit? No, it's Bybit. Announced that those numbers might be a little off, and that it's estimated that the liquidations were around 8 to 10 billion. 8 to 10 billion versus the initial thought too. That makes it quantity wise the biggest liquidations ever, bigger than November of 22, bigger than anything, bigger than FTX, bigger than all those things at once. There's some perspective here. So a lot of the time this gets sold as kind of like a one directional thing, like almost as if, okay, when markets get liquidated, that money's gone or something. If all these positions are gone, that has to be bearish, or, you know, something along those lines, where it's like liquidations equal damage. That is what's really sold, maybe as clickbait or as kind of these stories unfold. And you need to understand the other side of this. There's no damage done. There's no money disappeared, right? There's no money deleted from the market. When liquidations occur, the other side of the trade is makes that profit. It just changes hands. When we have a $10 billion liquidation, basically we're just seeing $10 billion trade from one side, or move hands from one side of the trade to the other. We aren't seeing that money disappear. It's not like, I don't know, a bullet hole in the crypto space or something. It's not a zero-sum game there. There has to be a taker for the other side of the trade, and that's the one profiting. It doesn't just snap out of existence. On top of that, kind of this narrative of this is the biggest liquidation ever, or whatever, like, that's just it's so important, right? Well, by dollars it is, but this market has this weird trick it plays. The liquidation, the last largest liquidation event we saw was in 22 of November. On the FTX, 3 arrows, all that shit. Crap. Liquidating. It was a smaller number, but it was a much more significant, and I'll argue bigger in reality, liquidation. Without even getting into the kind of nit details of, okay, OTC, like a lot of the liquidation and stuff from 22 did not happen on an exchange at market value, happened elsewhere and would not be part of the liquidations. You have to take into account the size of the crypto market at the time versus the size of those liquidations. So let me like see here. Okay. Crypto wasn't even $1 billion. Total crypto, or $1 trillion. Wasn't even $1 trillion then. It had fallen from that 3 trillion mark at 733 billion. I forget what the number is. But now we have what, 8 to 10, and the market's up at 3 trillion, more than 3 times the size. So put that into perspective. It is definitely an important thing to understand here with these liquidations, that the size of them in numbers isn't the most important factor. You know, we see a lot of things kind of behave this way as our markets go nuts. It's like, oh, this is the biggest blank of, you know, the biggest dollar change of a day. Of course, because that's just how numbers work. That's just how like scale works. There's a lot of kind of fuddish fear, kind of uncertainty surrounding this liquidation event. And I just wanted to kind of put this into some context for you. Ben Z said, I'm afraid that today, real total liquidations is a lot more than 2 billion. By my estimation. And so we should also take this with a grain of salt. Ben is a smart guy. I met him in Dubai, but like, he says, by my estimation, it should be at least. And so I think we can kind of understand that, well, this is not a real number. When anyone says I estimate or, I believe it, that's not a real number. It's just like kind of, I think we can take away that it is more than 2 billion and significantly more than 2 billion. He says Bybit's 24-hour liquidation alone was 2.1 billion. You can see in the screenshot below, Bybit 24-hour liquidations recorded on CoinGlass was around 333 million. However, this is not all the liquidations. So this is interesting. This is something you need to know in this game, is that exchanges are playing games all the time. We have API limitation on how much feeds are pushed out per second. From my observation, other exchanges also practice this to the same limit this data. Moving forward, Bybit will start to push all liquidation data. We believe in transparency. So let's take this with a grain of salt as well. If they were actually going to make any meaningful change, and I believe Bybit will do something, they'll expand the API, whatever. But like, let's call it what it is. If they believed in this transparency and this was important, and they weren't kind of downplaying this, then they would have already done this. It's hard to say, okay, you guys didn't give us the right numbers, but you promise you will next time, right? It's not just Bybit. I'm not going after Bybit. This is not exclusive to them. This is all exchanges, right? It's not about Bybit. But if you weren't honest about it in the beginning, yeah, you're probably just going to continue that behavior. I wouldn't expect any change from you. I think that gets us through most of the homework. I think that gets us through all the homework. In my head, that was going to take a lot longer than it did. How long did that take? Half an hour? That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good. Heck yeah. Half an hour. So I did not this entire time at all shill anything. Real quick, guys, make sure you smash the likes. If you enjoyed this content, I did homework. I tried to present value of some kind. I'm going to keep this moving forward. I want to change our content a little bit over time. I want to get a little bit more focused, a little bit more intentional, a little bit less kind of freestyling. So if you've enjoyed this content, please make sure to share it, to have liked, subscribed, tune in, join the Discord. On top of all that, there's something very serious I want to talk to you about. You should absolutely join our new group. That was so loud in my ears. My bad, guys. Join our new group. We have live exclusive market updates every single weekday. That's right, 5 days a week, including my own. We have other analysts from around the world, top tier guys giving all kinds of opinions. There's a lot of value in there. Trade setups, educational content, tutorials, Q&As, all kinds of stuff. I really, really think you should check it out. You get a free 7-day trial. That's how confident I am that you're going to stay. You can come check it out for 7 days. I recommend you attend to as many of these streams as you can, get all the alpha you can. After the 7 days, if you don't think it's worth the value, doesn't cost you anything. You can use the code VIP for 50% off forever. So you're going to get locked in at that lower rate. That will not be around indefinitely. So you should definitely take advantage of that. Subscribed, jumped on our Discord, check stuff out. I don't know, man. How we feeling? That's really, really where we're at, how we're feeling. I think everything is fine. I think today we're actually going to see price continue to push up. I think the market's very much, I don't even want to say overreacted, but overextended maybe their moves. The fact that Bitcoin kind of summary, the fact that Bitcoin has held its low, huge. Absolutely huge. The fact that total went right to its previous all-time high, bounced, showing strength now, huge. Ethereum hitting major support against Bitcoin, TBD, certainly huge, but TBD if it's going to be a huge player kind of in this argument that I'm presenting today. And Bitcoin dominance. One more thing. Dang, I missed this. This was such important info for this. Oh well. Maybe this is like the best ending homework piece. So here's the secret alpha for those of you who have made it all the way through this. So I'm talking about how this time looks different. This time has some different rhymes. And while I was being honest, it might be a little clickbait. It is right now, uncharted territory. It's different. But there is a way that this can end up looking just like what we would expect, just like last cycle, and everything kind of neatly wrap up. A little neat package. And here's how that happens. We do have a higher high now. We have broken 60% as we have predicted for a long time here. That could technically be it. I don't believe that that is, but technically we can argue this. We do have a higher high. Last cycle, we had a higher high on Bitcoin dominance. You can see all the circles right here that brought us to 75% before alt season started. This high could be it. I wouldn't bet on that. But a high, no, let's say this high could be it. And we could then see dominance fall to another higher low, and it would look just like the last cycle. Everything would be right back exactly the way it was. There really would be no questions. And that would be quite the bamboozle. I think that would be quite the bamboozling. I really wanted to include that in the beginning. Oh, well, crap. Is what it is. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Did my homework. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got value here. That's our goal, baby. That's what we do. You can check out the links in the video description below. I love you guys. We're going to go live again very soon. Wednesday at the latest. You should jump in the Discord, discord.gg/TomCrown. I'll be in there chatting. And that's all it's going to be, fam. Crown out.